Israel is demanding sanctions be imposed on Iran's missile project after its weekend attack on Israeli territory. That call is also coming from the German Foreign Ministry. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock called on the European Union to impose fresh sanctions on Iranian drone technology. She says she campaigned last year together with France and other EU countries for the drone sanctions regime to be extended. She's headed to Israel now for talks on calming tensions in the region. Now, back in Israel, the War Cabinet has met to discuss the attack, but has not disclosed its plans except to say the attack will not go unanswered. Projectiles were fired at Israel from Iran, Iraq, Syria and Yemen over the weekend. They were downed by Israel, the US, the UK and Jordan. Tehran says the bombardment is in retaliation for the presumed Israeli airstrike on its consulate in Syria on April 1st, in which 13 people were killed. Meanwhile, Israel's Chief of General Staff, Herzi Halevi, has been thanking international partners who stood with Israeli forces during the attack.
The Israel Defense Forces, together with the United States Central Command, the British and the French armed forces, and other partners, operated together in real time in the air, on the ground, and at sea. Defense systems were activated, the threats were intercepted, and Iran's attack on Israel failed. Operation Iron Shield proved the strength of our ironclad cooperation. I want to thank all our international partners who stood up to Iran's aggression. Iran's attack has created new opportunities for cooperation in the Middle East. We are closely assessing the situation. We remain at our highest level of readiness. Iran will face the consequences for its actions.
The United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. does not seek escalation in the ongoing tensions between Israel and Iran. He made this known at a meeting with Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister Mohammed Ali Tamim in Washington, D.C. Blinken praised Israeli air defenses and efforts by others in ensuring the projectiles were shot down.
This was an attack unprecedented in its scope and in its scale. In its scope because it represented the first direct attack by Iran on Israel. In its scale because, as I said, there were more than 300 munitions fired, including ballistic missiles, as well as land attack cruise missiles and drones. Thanks to Israeli air defenses, as well as support from other countries, including U.S. military assets, virtually all of the incoming projectiles were destroyed and shot down. As President Biden underscored to Prime Minister Netanyahu, the U.S. is committed to Israel's defense. And I think what this weekend demonstrated is that Israel did not have to and does not have to defend itself alone when it is the victim of an aggression, the victim of an attack. In the 36 hours since, we have been coordinating a diplomatic response to seek to prevent escalation. Strength and wisdom need to be the same sides, the different sides of the same coin. I've been in close communication with counterparts in the region, and we will continue to do so in the hours and days ahead. We don't seek escalation, but we'll continue to support the defense of Israel and to protect our personnel in the region. Thank you.
Meanwhile, United States National Security Person John Kirby says Israel is in a far stronger strategic position than it was a few days ago. Kirby also rebutted claims Iran provided early warnings to Israel to help its forces prepare for the retaliatory strikes, saying they're all false. He also touched on the need for Congress to pass a $95 billion package to Israel, which was blocked by Republicans. Israel and Iran were allies until the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran, which brought in a regime that was used to oppose Israel as a key part of its ideology. Iran does not recognize Israel's right to exist and seeks its eradication. Israel believes that Iran poses an existential threat, as evidenced by Tehran's rhetoric, its buildup of proxy forces sworn to Israel's destruction, its funding and arming of Palestinian groups, including Hamas, and of the Lebanese Shia militant group Hezbollah, and what it believes as Iran's secret pursuit of nuclear weapons, though Iran denies seeking to build a nuclear bomb.
I've seen reporting that the Iranians meant to fail, that this spectacular and embarrassing failure was all by design. I've also seen Iran say that they provided early warning to help Israel prepare its defenses and limit any potential damage. All of this is categorically false. This attack was defeated thanks to our preparations, to a coalition of committed partners, and to Israel's remarkable defensive systems. Israel today is in a far stronger strategic position than it was only a few days ago. Iran's vaunted missile program, something it has used to threaten Israel and the region, proved to be far less effective. President Biden instructed the United States to defend Israel to the maximum extent possible and defeat that attack, and we did. With the support of our partners, the United States enabled Israel to spectacularly defeat it. Passing that bill is the fastest and surest way to get Israel the aid it needs. And we must act urgently to replenish Israel's air defenses, just as Congress must act urgently to replenish Ukraine's air defenses, which also continue to be attacked every single day with the same Iranian-made drones. And going forward, we will be working to further isolate Iran internationally and increase economic and other forms of pressure. So that's the upshot here. A stronger Israel, a weaker Iran, a more unified alliance of partners to look different conflicts, different airspace, different threat picture. The president has been clear since the beginning of the conflict in Ukraine. The United States is not going to be involved in that conflict in a combat role, and we haven't. We have been providing Ukraine the tools that they need to help defend their airspace, and unfortunately, we can't do that right now because we don't have that national security supplemental funding that they so desperately need.
Back in Gaza, the World Health Organization has delivered humanitarian aid to various hospitals where the humanitarian situation remains dire. WHO officials say 20,000 liters of fuel were distributed to 2 hospitals to keep the facilities up and running.
Yeah. No pain medications. We are now in the chapel of Al-Ahli Hospital, which also serves as an inpatient ward. And you can see the chapel benches, the church benches actually are used as beds with some ad hoc mattresses in between. Also here we see many trauma cases. The majority of patients are trauma cases, and you can see some of the most horrific trauma cases, a lot of amputees, see external fixators everywhere, and there's still a shortage of all kinds of medication, including anesthesia, which we need to get in as quickly as possible. What we did today was bringing in fuel, 20,000 liters, 14,000 for Al-Ahli and 6,000 for Al-Sahaba. We also taking with us 3 critical patients, but we could have taken with us maybe 50 patients or 100 patients actually who deserve better treatment and care.
Today, WHO is in Gaza City in Al-Ahli Hospital. We are referring 3 patients from the north to the south, along with an emergency medical team, CADUS, that's right here behind me, to continue the care of these patients from the north to the south. WHO continues to support the healthcare in Gaza.
In the same vein, the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, says the amount of aid entering Gaza has remained relatively stable with no significant change. A latest report by the agency says an average of 181 trucks reach the enclave daily. It also noted that food insecurity has increased by 80% since December. The volume is far below the operational capacity of Gaza's open border crossings and fails to meet Israel's stated goal of facilitating the entry of 500 aid trucks per day. UNRWA says aid flow into northern Gaza, where hunger is most pervasive, is especially strained, with UNRWA unable to reach the area since January 23rd.